Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Okay. So we're going to get started. One commission member is on his way. He should be here right now. We have 3, so we have a quorum. So we're going to get started. So I'll call the inland meeting of April 11th to order. Special meeting to order. Let's start with commission members. Nico, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, Nico Jordan, Bethel Inland Wetlands Commissioner.
Pat Parafort, Chairman.
Danielle Monroe, Inland Wetlands alternate.
David McCollum, Inland Wetlands agent.
Mary Churchill, recording secretary.
Thank you. Okay, first item on the agenda. Checking, public hearing for Stony Hill Road, continuation of public hearing for Stony Hill Road 48 250, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Sir,
I took the big chair.
there you go.
That's okay. Good evening, my name is Peter Olson. I'm an attorney with an office here in Bethel at 275 Greenwood Avenue. My firm name is Land Use and Conservation Counsel. I'm here tonight on behalf of Upstream Properties, which is the applicant and owner of the property at 48 Stony Hill Road. This is the last, I hope, of multiple public hearings. We continued from the last meeting to allow our engineer and Ray Pierce to continue to work on the details of their review and their comments. We think we've responded to everything Ray Pierce asked of us, and we got a memo from them today indicating what we believe that that's the case, with a couple of items that could be dealt with as conditions of approval. So let me have Rocky Mond from SLR, who's our engineer, go through what those final changes were. Rock, turn it over to you.
Thank you.
Rock Emmond, a associate civil engineer with SLR International Corporation. I've been here a couple times now, going back and forth with Wright Pierce on the model regarding the underground detention system. Previously, we had 3 underground detention systems that were interconnected through a conveyance pipe and underground under drainage. Based on conversations with Wright Pierce, it was kind of confusing on how that water was actually getting from one to the next and how that was modeled. To simplify everything, we came up with the great idea of just shoving it all together and having one dedicated underground detention system. And because of this, we had to move a couple light poles, move a couple trees, but the actual mitigation here is that it is still maintaining that we're showing a ignore.
Should have said yeah.
We're still mitigating peak flows from the 2 through the 100-year storm. It is still the same technical underground detention system. It is just consolidated into one area, as well as taking the boxes and shoving them all together. There's one conveyance pipe flat that goes across the access easement in between the property, which is what we were trying to avoid. That goes to a manhole and then goes to the outlet control structure, which holds our peak flows. This flat pipe, technically standing, is additional detention because it's in addition to the underground detention. So whatever we're modeling, there's also a slight mitigation as it pertains to this particular pipe. The outlet control structure did not need any modifications as it was modeled as such with technically one underground detention basin, and we're holding that value, and that's pushing on forward. The outlet controls for the water quality unit remains the same. So it's still handling the first flush as well as the water quality flow to clean that water and trap any early sediments in the isolation or isolator row. That's pretty much the nuts and bolts of our discussions with Wright Pierce, and it seems like they are in agreement that this is the simplest and easiest answer to accommodate their concerns.
Rock, can you just remind everybody where the discharge from that system goes in relation to the drainage ditch?
Yes.
On the right side and the
So
on the left?
as you know, during our meetings, that the drainage ditch occurs on the east side of the property. All the drainage is funneled towards the underground detention system. That then discharges to the outlet control structure. And then that discharges to 2 conveyance pipes, which are outflowing from the pond. As mentioned during the previous hearings, their direction of flow is being maintained. as well as the previously approved plans show that the increase or the connection from the previously approved plan and this particular outlet control structure maintain that specific direction and are sized appropriately for that conveyance to the concrete structure, which is within Stony Brook or Stony Hill Road, and then is conveyed through a underground culvert or a below grade culvert that then discharges to the Dibbles Brook.
Thanks, Rob.
Yep.
So that's all we have. We're happy to answer commission questions, and I see some ratepayers folks, maybe they have comments or questions as well.
Do I have to sit there, Neil? I'm sorry, though.
Yeah, but I wouldn't worry about
Okay.
seating anyone until we're actually in a position to have votes
Okay.
made. Right now, we're still in just the exchange of information for lack
So
of better
Dave,
words.
do you have any questions before?
Not so much questions, more so procedural comments for you guys. And also, I guess, for the applicant. Yes, as Attorney Olson stated, the memorandum that staff received today was what I'm hoping to be the last in a long continued volley of exchanges or of comments between Mr. Iman from SLR and our consulting engineers over at Wright Pierce. I think it's worth noting that some of the items that the applicant is looking for you guys to address as conditions of approval have remained outstanding since you accepted this application. So it's worth having you guys discuss how we would word those conditions to make sure that those items get addressed before any construction takes place. I can go into those if you want. Most of them are housekeeping. So I would rather us, in the interest of time, just try to keep things moving. My advice to our new members would be is if this public hearing does in fact get closed tonight, which I don't see why you would not be in a position to do so. The commission is back in the driver's seat, so to speak, for the clock for when you would make your decision. So we have used, I believe, up to this point, 42 days of extension time out of a total of 65 to have continued the public hearing to tonight. Once the public hearing closes, then a new clock begins where you have 35 days to render your decision. So we do have our next regular meeting coming up on the 25th. My suggestion would be is if you were in a position to approve or render a decision on this application for that matter, that you do so at that meeting. It gives myself time to have a draft prepared for you with whatever conditions you may see fit, including the ones that Wright Pierce is recommending crafted for you so you can review them over. Of course, that's not to say that we would not enter discussion on those tonight. That being said, any additional information you guys would want before a decision is rendered, before you close the public hearing, if that does in fact happen tonight, I would recommend that you finalize those for the applicant, because once the public hearing is closed, they can't offer any more comment. The discussion is limited to just the information we have, what's been submitted to us for the record, what's been discussed verbally and shown to us on the screen, or I don't know if you've ever used an easel block, but either way, that's what we are. That's what we have to work with once we get to that point. I don't really have anything else to add. So if there are any questions for things that we have not yet discussed, which I don't know what those would be, but of course I wouldn't want to dismiss you from asking your questions. I would recommend you do so. So with that being said, I'm not sure who you would want to have go first, but for
Danielle,
Steve.
do you have any questions?
I have a small question. The underground containment holding cell, And the gray line across it is the filtration that you have going on in there. The bar,
So,
it's a sand filter? What is it?
the underground detention system,
Thank you.
the gray bar is what's called an isolator row. So that is really the first foray of water that is coming into the system itself.
Okay.
And what happens is it'll come in, everything will settle out there specifically because that's going to be the first entrance, and then it gets dissipated throughout the entire structure. So that's
Okay.
really just for maintenance purposes. So there are inspection ports at each end, which allow for a vac truck to show up, take the cover off, put
To
the
get the
vac
sediment
in,
out.
suck everything out, correct. And it's more for just taking out any sand that is kind of collected
Right,
throughout.
right.
We don't actually anticipate, due to, best management practices such as the water quality unit, the deep sumps, or just the infiltrate or isolated row in general, that there's gonna be that much sediment collected. But it's nice, it's necessary, and it just adds for more variety in maintenance.
Excellent. So how long does the water stay there?
So depending upon what storm actually occurs,
Yep.
we're planning on the 100-year, which depending upon the infiltration rates, it could take upwards of 72 hours maximum. So
So it's gonna naturally flush out with more water?
it's not gonna flush out.
Oh, gets
It's
pumped
gonna
out?
either be infiltrating into the surrounding soils, depending upon the surrounding soils, if they are good soil, or it's going to be discharging through the outlet control structure and then
Okay.
funneling out towards the connection that comes from the pond that goes to the Dibbles Brook.
All right, let me see if I have this right. The water's gonna go in there, it's gonna hang out there
Yep.
for a bit.
Yep.
If
And
it's-
that's what we're calling mitigating peak flows.
Uh-huh.
So when you increase the amount of impervious into an area, that's increasing the rate of which runoff, stormwater runoff is increasing.
Right,
So the detention is really holding that water in jail, and then it's allowing it to kind of trickle out.
okay,
And hopefully, if you design it correctly, you're matching the pre-existing flows, which our drainage report shows that we're showing a slight decrease to those flows.
okay. So theoretically, it's not really going into Dibbles Brook, it should be dissipating out.
It should be just spitting it out slowly,
Okay,
but meeting the previous flows. So
gotcha.
if there was, let's say, one CFS that was originally going to see Dibbles Brook, we're either showing 0.9 or 1. There's either that amount of water that's already going there, because you don't want to inundate or take water away from it, because you still need water to go there.
Right, okay, thank you, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Not a problem.
So are they chambers under there? Like you go
Yes.
through each chamber and gets to the last chamber? If it makes it that far, then it goes to or did it soak in the ground?
So it's a combination of 9 inches of stone,
Okay,
and then there's the chamber, which is basically like a 5-foot tall, maybe 3-foot wide
Okay.
plastic dome.
all right,
And those are all interconnected and it's open throughout.
okay.
That fills up and then that goes out through the discharge pipe.
So you need a lot of water for it to come out the other side.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the cubes, the multicolored cubes?
So those are the test pits that we're calling out for,
Okay.
to figure out if there's either, because one of the Red Curse comments was, do we want to expect that there is any groundwater and or
Right.
bedrock? So we're gonna be doing test pits prior to construction.
All right, can you zoom out a little bit so I can see? All right, so one more back, sorry.
Oh.
Wait,
You want to go back further out,
In or out?
in or out? You want me to zoom in or do you want me to?
zoom in one thing.
Okay.
Yes. Perfect, all right, so all the dotted lines, the drainage,
Yes,
they're all connected flowing in. And
Flowing
that
in
bottom one
towards-
on the left is the only one flowing out, is that
that
correct?
is correct.
Okay, so when you're looking at the wetlands on the,
On the right.
On the
They're
right,
all
thanks.
Flowing towards the underground detention
on the-
system.
not
in the middle.
into the wetlands.
Correct.
Now, that solid line that's really close to the wetlands, that's the parking lot, correct?
So you're talking about this line? here?
Yes,
Yes, that is the edge of parking, AKA the curb.
so you're within a couple feet of the wetland there.
Yes, as also, these are the same points that were staked out during our
Yep,
sidewalk.
no,
Yep.
that's fine.
So just to be clear,
Yep, and then on the top left, the drainage or retention pond or retention system.
Yep.
Between the two, you're not touching anything with that
so we
or
are
affecting
actually,
that in any way.
so we are expanding those areas slightly.
Okay.
um, just because we're going to be putting parking around there and just, there's going to be some mitigation for how the cuts and fills are.
Okay,
So those are gonna be expanded slightly. And we've actually, since the first iteration, as I mentioned during the last meeting, we've actually reduced the amount of disturbance within those two areas.
okay.
So, but we're increasing the amount of volume for Copper Square, even though we're not taking any credit for it.
So you're working on it, you're increasing it, it's Copper Squares.
Correct. But we have easements for our use, which
So
allow us
no
to.
problem there?
No.
Okay. And then if you go to the left.
Yeah.
To where the pond is.
Yep.
Currently, is there any sheet flow or anything flowing into that pond?
So existing, there are two catch basins, which I believe Matt Sanford addressed during
Yep.
our last meeting. Those were originally picking up from our property
Feeding the pond?
and feeding the pond.
So
We
my
are
question
not-
is, are we drying up the pond now?
I would say no,
You would say, or are we not, are
we
we?
are not.
Okay,
As
All right.
there, the pond is specifically made as a detention structure for
Right.
Copper Square.
okay,
And we're increasing the amount of volume in the two biodepression areas.
Which
Those
feed in?
will eventually feed in.
Okay,
We're raising the actual elevation of the two overflows.
okay,
So there is a decrease in the amount of watershed going there.
Right.
But it's kind of a wash.
okay, all right. The control structure on the very output. There, bottom,
This guy,
nope, farther down,
this guy.
that one.
Yep.
What type of controls? It's underground or?
So it's actually a manhole.
Okay,
Inside the manhole is a weir structure. So it's
Okay.
a wall, a concrete wall that has a couple of knockouts.
Oh,
for water
all right.
to spill through. And then when it gets to a certain elevation,
it's,
it'll go over the wall and outside.
okay, but it's all underground. It's
Yep.
not like the V. Okay,
Correct.
all right. I don't think I have any other questions. Have you any?
No, nothing that you didn't touch on that I didn't go over the last
Okay.
time that we were here, and I asked a lot during the Senate walk as well.
Yeah.
As it implied, especially to the borderline on the wetlands itself, which I had some concerns of, but those were alleviated already, so I'm not gonna duplicate something I already asked.
Nope, it's been well reviewed. Seeing how it is a public hearing, is there any public that would like to?
Want Nico
Don't
to-
forget Nico.
Oh, Nico, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Gotta keep
hey.
reminding you when you're online there, Nico.
Thanks, Pat.
Nico,
Yeah,
you have
no,
anything you would like to, question, add, comments?
The only comment I have, I guess, is just, or more of a concern for the water quality on the outflow to Dibbles Brook. You know, if, I don't know if Rock, if you can comment on the quality
I can.
of the pollutants and the salt content, maybe?
So this goes back into also the previous meeting.
Mhm.
So the way that we're actually operating the underground detention system is we're both mitigating peak flows as well as providing 1 inch of water quality retention. The water quality retention is handling that first flush, which is actually handling both with a water quality unit, which is taking out 80% of the total suspended solids, as well as the isolator row, which I have thoroughly addressed. Those are actually taking out all the pollutants that you would normally see from just regular sheet flow across a parking lot. That's taking out all the pollutants that you would see just ipso facto on a roadway from being salted. So as it
how
pertains to water quality, that
Yeah.
water coming out of the development is going to be cleaner than it would be if it was not treated. And currently, under existing conditions, as this is both a redevelopment as well as it was originally designed to handle some development of this sort, we are both exceeding as well as mitigating those with best management practices that I've just have alluded to.
Nico, may I embellish your question before you continue?
Sure, if you'd like, yeah.
Okay, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think what you're trying to touch on are the methods of treatment, and I think Rock may have spoken to one of those. If I'm not mistaken, there are 2 separator elements also installed as part of the stormwater management system. Am I correct?
So there's one separator, the water
One
quality unit.
Okay,
the second separator is one that is existing for the Copper Square, the two depressions. That's gonna be investigated and either reused or reinstalled.
Okay,
And
can you zoom in on the plans? I'm not sure where I thought I had seen it.
so manhole 33, which on the previously approved plan had a CDS Contech 3020-6-C. We are looking for us to either replace in kind if what we find is either damaged or it's not going to be used. So it is sized appropriately for the development at that time.
Okay,
Because we are actually taking water out of that, it's gonna or provide additional water quality flow, because you're actually, based on the unit, it increases the size as well as the water quality flow that's going through it.
okay,
Because we're taking water out, there's still that threshold that's being met, and we're still mitigating it with our own on-site water quality unit, the CDS 3025-6-C.
yes, okay. And that, from my own understanding, does that have a hydrodynamic?
That is a
Yes,
hydrodynamic thing.
okay.
So maybe that's the term that I wasn't exactly using.
Yes,
So
That's
the
what I was
water
looking-
quality unit and the hydrodynamic separator are one and the same.
okay,
So apologies for nomenclature.
no, that's okay, I just wanted to make sure that element had
And-
remained or hadn't.
Yep, and it has been remained and also as part of the drainage report that has been reviewed
Good.
by Wright Pierce.
Very good, thank you.
And
Sorry,
Rob,
Miguel.
just to finish, may I?
Yep.
Does
Go right
the
ahead.
hydrodynamic separator, does it take out dissolved solvents, like
So
salt?
it takes down what's considered the 80% total suspended solids. And
Okay.
those whip around and those settle out to the bottom. There's
Wow.
a maintenance program that within this document that shows that every couple of years or every 6 months, that'll be cleaned out. Now, as it pertains to dissolvents, those will settle out inside the detention system as the amount of water increases. It's going to dissipate out, dissolve, and eventually it'll either evaporate or just be held and not really go anywhere. So then when they actually come with the vac truck, it'll all be within the isolator row, depending upon what it is actually. So hopefully it would settle out and then it would just be taken and trucked off.
Okay, so do you think that in, considering the best management practices that you're employing in this project, that the water quality will be better than the previous outflow to
Yeah.
Dibblesbrook? That's the goal, right?
I would stand by that 110%.
We're trying to even though you're developing all these impervious surfaces and increased parking area, which is going to be salted and added on to with the human use that it gets, that somehow with the construction that you're building, are you able to improve the water quality outflow from the existing site to the brook? That's a huge task.
Yes.
Yes.
With the best management practices that we're employing with this project, is my professional opinion, yes.
Good, because that's the goal. Is that the goal? I mean, is that the
That is the goal. That's always the goal.
of what we're doing here?
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions, Nico?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Awesome. Is anyone from the public here wishes to speak in regards to this application?
I do see someone in the waiting room. Area code 203-482-6410. Can you identify yourself?
Or not? Okay.
Okay, so I will just say, just for the persons out on Zoom, if there is anyone out in the attending this meeting virtually that wants to offer comment, I believe it's pound, or is it, I think it's pound 9 or 9 pound or 9 star that you hit. That'll let us know that you have comment that you want to offer, and that raises your hand.
Okay.
I don't see anyone doing
See
that at
anyone?
this time. So I would say there's no comment.
Okay.
Nothing
Anything
further
like-
from us.
Okay.
Just we've spent a lot of time going through this plan. Maybe I should remind you that if we go back to the beginning, we had an approval from 2013 for essentially the same project. And a significant amount of it has been constructed. And the property itself is highly disturbed, paved, with former buildings and parking areas and everything else on it. So we definitely believe we're improving the conditions that are out there. And hopefully, when we get this built, we'll bring it close to what's kind of an eyesore at this point. So hopefully you agree, and we'll close the public hearing and proceed to vote to approve the project.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. That being said, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
I was actually gonna make that motion. I
Oh, there you go.
second. I second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Against? And any abstain?
And I would have you add that Danielle was
Danielle.
seated
Yes.
for either Greg or Laura. That choice is at your discretion.
Okay, seating Danielle in place of Greg for this evening.
Okay.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
no, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
All right, moving down
Thank you,
the
gentlemen.
agenda, do I have to make a motion to add this to discuss at the end of the meeting, or?
Yeah, if you want to, how I would do that is I would have you or the commission should make a motion to add
Okay.
48-50 Stony Hill Road on the agenda under new
Okay.
business.
All right. You wanna make it?
I make a motion to add 50 Stony Hill Road at the end for new business.
Under new business,
Under new
yes.
business.
Oh, I'll second that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Alright,
All against, abstaining. Okay. Next on the agenda, we got Plum Street Road number 49. Is there anyone here for or online for Plum Street? Was that public hearing?
Yes, there's.
This is,
Is there
this is
anyone there?
Marius Jedrzejkowski from my peers. Hello, everybody.
Hello?
how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good. So last time we met, I guess, we received some comments from Dan McCollum regarding our applications. That was on March 25th. We responded to those comments on March 28th. We sent those comments back to Mr. McCollum, and hopefully he had a chance to review them. Also, one of the outstanding items that we were waiting for was the response from the Connecticut DEP regarding the NDDB determination for the site. And we have received that determination as well on April 1st, 2022. And that determination was provided to Mr. McCollum for his files.
Yes, if I can interrupt you, Marius, I would like to advise the commission at this time that a copy of that document that Mr. Jedrzejkowski is explaining has been printed for your consideration tonight. If you guys want to take a minute to go over that before it continues, that may make sense, unless you want to explain its contents, Marius.
So as we suspected, from the previous application, when the well was drilled, the DEP determined there were some turtles on site: spotted turtle, wood turtle, and Easter box turtle. Essentially, as we did before, when the well was drilled, the DEP recommends to install some exclusionary, fences for the turtles, so make sure the turtles don't cross to the construction site. They also recommended, inspection by the contractor, so if they spot a turtle within the construction area, to basically move the turtle, outside of that construction area. So this is a common practice, and we did this during the well installation process. So typically, what's going to happen is we'll take those comments from the Connecticut DEP, and those comments will go on our drawings. They will be issued to the contractor with specific instructions for the contractor based on the instructions from the Connecticut DEP to make sure that we protect the turtles. And there was no other comments from the DEP on the application.
Any questions, comments?
Yeah, my one question to Marius would be, I didn't know if there was any specifications for what would entail or comprise an exclusionary fence. Is that at the contractor's discretion, or is there a fence that DEP recommends to do that? Or is she using that?
It's essentially like a silk fence. It's a black silk fence. There's nothing special. We just don't want the turtles to cross underneath. You know, it has to be
Okay.
installed properly to make sure there was no gap underneath, so the turtles cannot get through. But it's basically just a, siltation fence, a black siltation fence, as you would normally use for, erosion control.
So the fence that is being installed as your erosion control / your limit of disturbance, that would have, if I'm using this word correctly, a tertiary function of also being your exclusionary fence for the turtles?
That is correct. And then, the contract documents would require, basically the contractor to inspect the fence every day before he starts the construction, make sure there's no turtles present on site. Wright Pierce will also have an on-site inspector who's also going to be following those protocols to make sure that, there's no turtles. So he's going to be there every day to monitor that situation. And then, if there are any turtles, obviously they have to be picked up and moved outside of that fence. They can't be taken off-site. They have to be basically put outside the fence.
Okay. And is there any follow-up reporting that could be expected from the DEEP on this? Or once this review is given, this is what we've got?
This is what we've got. This is the final letter from the DEP. There'll be no other letters from them, basically. That's it. That's the final decision.
Okay, cool. And I'm asking this partially for myself, but also for the commission, because this is the first time they're working with a diversity database area, at least
Sure.
some.
Oh. Anything else?
Not for me at this time. I would say to the commission, barring anything that you may have to ask for the applicants tonight. From what has been what I've received for responses from Wright Pierce, the commission is definitely in a position to close on this public hearing tonight if you're so inclined. Of course, a lot of the stuff I mentioned from the previous public hearing carries over, in that if you have any questions, make sure you ask, because we don't get any new information after this. So with that being said, I open the floor back to you guys to ask questions.
Okay, anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
And I think I do, Kevin. For the turtles on site. Now, I know that they're not allowed to move them off site. They just need to move. If you encounter one, you move them back behind fence. They stay in their natural habitat. You're just trying to keep them from nesting on your grounds or reproducing on grounds. Are the workers going to be shown how to handle the wildlife? Like how to pick up and move them without injuring the turtle or themselves?
Yeah, I mean, DEP has special requirements, that we can put into the notes, and we can work with the DEP how to handle them, but basically, you just want to be careful when you pick them up with 2 hands and move them over, and with gloves, there was really no special, like if you saw a turtle on the road, you just pick them up and move them over. So there was really nothing special about moving them. You just have to make sure that you put them outside the fence and, and maybe watch him walk away, basically. He'll be happy. He'll be happy to go to the water.
I guess this is a question for maybe DEP, not you. What happens if overnight turtle makes it in and does nest? Because that's an overnight activity, but I only know that because I've dealt with this before. They do nest overnight, so they can lay their eggs overnight and nest overnight while you're off site. What happens if something sneaks through? Do you just have to turn around and leave it, or?
Well, the turtles typically, they have a period when they nest. So typically before that period, you want to have this fence up so they don't sneak in. That's really, we can do our best to kind of protect it. And that's why we have to do daily inspections and, to make sure everything is covered. That's the only way to really protect it. So, the best practice is to really do a good job inspecting the fence, make sure there is no gaps underneath and the turtle's not gonna be able to get in. The fence got to be dig into the ground pretty deep. It can't be just like 4 inches, so the turtle is going to be able to dig under the thing and get in. It's got to be at least, I think, 24 inches or 18 inches down the ground, so the turtle is not going to be able to go on the ground under the fence.
Never mind then.
A silk fence goes 24 inches underground?
Well, there's different size of the silk fences, so you can actually put one in pretty deep. Yeah, because the turtle's not gonna jump over the fence, so you want to kind of bury that little, deeper.
Yeah, that was a concern that I had actually, because if it's shallow and they do mud dig, they can go under and then
Right, right.
find their way to whatever nesting grounds they want. But that answers my question pretty straightforward then.
Any other questions?
Nothing from me that I haven't already asked before.
Okay. Nico, you have any questions?
I'm muted. I'm all good. Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm just worried. I'm just disappointed we don't have any jumping turtles around here.
Well, if,
Give it a couple of years.
Okay.
I will say that if a turtle can jump over 20 inches, I think we have other concerns.
We have to change our method. I'm good.
I don't have any other questions. Public hearing, is there any public wishing to express any comments on or ask any questions on this hearing, this application? Okay, hearing none. You have all the information you need, you said?
Yes,
Okay.
all the materials that I have asked for, I have received, all of the modifications that I've looked for, ranging from getting a certification on the survey that the wetlands are delineated substantially correct. That's the one that stands out for me, and a myriad of other housekeeping comments. Right, Pierce has done what I have asked to address those, and then this report that the DEEP just gave to us on April 1st is kind of the bow on the package, so to speak, for what I have asked for. So I can't think of anything else that would be outstanding for you guys. So if you're in a position to close.
I'm so in favor, so I make a motion that we close this application, this public hearing.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? And abstain. Okay. All right, going down the agenda.
Before we move on to the next item, would you guys want to add this as an item under new business to discuss tonight?
Okay, you could do so.
I can make a motion.
Yes, there you go. That's what I'm looking for.
I don't like stealing your thunder. I
No,
can make a
I'm-
motion to add
Well,
Plum Trees Road 49 to new business at the end of the agenda this evening.
A second. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? Abstain? Okay. Next on agenda, site plan review, Walnut Hill Road. Is there anyone here to present on Walnut Hill Road?
We've already concluded our presentation.
Okay.
Right,
We're waiting for you to vote yes.
right.
Okay,
So,
wasn't
so-
quite sure where we were with this
so
one.
I will give a recap, not necessarily
Thank
on the applicant's behalf, but I will say the lion's share of the discussion that needed to take place occurred during our previous meeting, and because staff did not have a draft decision prepared for you guys to act upon that night, we continued the site plan review
Yep.
to this evening so that we could discuss that. I do
Right.
have that ready for you to go. So if you wanted to add that under new business tonight, you are definitely in the position to do so. You don't need a motion to close the site plan review per se, but I would note for the record that you guys are comfortable having concluded it.
So we have to move to the end of the agenda to talk about it, even though it's all set to, we can't just talk about it now and get it done.
Right, well, it's my mistake per se, because I didn't have this under new business on the agenda.
Okay, I make a motion that we move Walnut Hill Road to under new business.
I second that.
All in favor? Against? Abstain. Awesome.
And then I would say, just to keep things moving, we would be doing the same thing for 6 Pondview Drive.
Beautiful. We're not, no more information on Pondview, correct?
No, because the
Okay.
lion's share of the discussion also took place at our previous meeting, March 28th.
That's the one that we ended with, correct? That was, yeah.
That was the second to last
Yep.
item on
Yep.
our last meeting agenda.
Okay, so make a motion to put Pondview Drive number 6 under new business.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain. Okay. We have no old business, so we're back to new business.
And now we're at 48-50 Stony Hill Road.
Okay,
As I mentioned, before we close that public hearing, I think it would, or the commission should consider the comments that Wright Pierce Engineering had in their last iteration of their response comments, which I printed out
On the
for
last
you.
page, right?
I can go through what those are specifically, but oh, okay, you've already
I'm
said.
sorry, thank you.
But it may make sense for staff to have a more formalized version of those otherwise outstanding comments to be made into conditions of approval, prepared for our
Yep.
next regular meeting, which would be on April 25th. So that's 2 weeks from tonight.
Okay.
I would have those along with any other conditions, assuming you guys would be in favor of
Okay.
approving this application.
so let's try all the commission's minds.
Yes,
Are we leaning towards approval or denying the application? Okay.
I'm leaning towards approving the application based on, and I'd read through these when we were going over, so as long as the conditions are met,
right.
I don't foresee that. In fact, could it be that these conditions were met and they were just simple drawing update that just
Could
needed to be done?
No, so they're not that simple per se. There are some elements where the applicant would have to do some site work before construction began
Got it.
to confirm that what's being proposed on paper works. So we would want to make sure that that wording is in place and the language makes sense so that the applicant knows what we're pulling them to before they start any construction. There are some other things that are on paper per se, and of course, we want to make sure the wording for those is correct as well. Like I said, we'll have formalized versions for those ready. for
And
this
then
one.
in the application, it would indicate that based on what they found, there would be contingencies based on what they found. Correct? Or plans of action, maybe based on their findings, to some things you indicated might not be found until they start. ground?
So let's make a hypothetical here, and let me go to the last report here. I'm just gonna work with. One. I did. Okay. Okay. I'm sure that's good one. 28. Okay.
4/11/22.
Right, so we're looking at the Wright Pierce memorandum dated April 11th, 2022. I would have you go to or comments 21B, which is on well, the ultimate part of what you're looking for this comment is oh no, excuse me, 21C, and that's on page 6 of 9. So if you read what's bolded, staff from Wright Pierce say, and I quote, "Test pits to a depth of 4 feet below the proposed bottom of the facilities are recommended due to the potential change in stormwater management design and due to the elevation of the surface water in the adjacent pond, approximately 468 feet. These pits should identify depth to groundwater or bedrock within this range, soil type, and infiltration rates. It is recommended that as a condition of approval, the data listed above and is further described in the Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual, CTS-SQM, section 11-P3-2, item 3, I think. 3 be provided for review prior to construction of the facilities and verify the system meets the Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual design parameters. So that is information that the applicant would have to give to us prior before an administrative approval was signed off for them to do work. And that would be akin to any of the other outstanding items that were not otherwise addressed before you guys closed the public hearing. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay,
It does make sense. Thank you.
okay. Yep, you're
For the
welcome.
clarity.
Nico, any concerns? Or are you in favor of approving this application or leaning in that direction?
I want to, but I don't feel like I know enough yet to vote either way for or against it.
Okay,
So we would not be voting tonight. What I would say to you is, this is where you guys would be giving me direction on whether to craft a draft resolution of approval or a draft resolution of denial. One thing I would add, remember, this is a modification to a previous approval, which was first granted back in 2013. So it's not to say that all of this material that you're looking at is started from scratch. There is a previous application where a decision was made, and now this is a modification to that. So you're not having to, you shouldn't feel like you're in a position to have to reinvent the wheel per se. A lot of the work that would have otherwise been required to be hashed out for this application was already done. Talking about the potential for impacts to the pond, stormwater management system design elements, what have you. A lot of that discussion took place 10 years ago. So you don't feel like your questions have to be all encompassing because there was a lot of work that was already done for this.
Yeah.
So what would your, with what has been presented for this application, Nico, what would your questions be?
The only concerns that I have, and chalk it up to my lack of education perhaps, are the quality of the outflow to Dibbles Brook, which is a which is the wetland body of water to the south of Route 6, where all of this water flows, which frankly during this whole process has not been discussed very much because it's not listed as one of the within the 100-foot upland review area. And that's all I'm concerned about, besides from a planning and zoning point of view, which we're not supposed to talk about here. I'm not in love with the development in general, but I think it's better than nothing going on site there. But
so our engineer has no concern with the quality of the
Okay.
water off the site.
Well, this is.
good,
this
thank you. That was my
where-
question, I
this
guess.
is where I believe Mr. Iman in his presentation, he had mentioned that.
No, I know Mr. Iman said 110%. He
Right.
feels it's a lot better.
No, I'm not even saying about that part. The key phrase for you is meeting or exceeding
Right.
80% removal of total suspended solids. That is a trigger for you guys. It's a recommendation that's listed in the stormwater quality manual. So if the site wasn't meeting that, they would have had to have revised their design to do that, which if that comment or if that concern was outstanding, Wright Pierce would have noted that, and that would still remain in their memo to that you guys received today, April 11th. To my knowledge, there is no comment that reflects that concern. So I would say the engineers are satisfied that the design does meet or exceed that design requirement.
Okay, yeah, well then, is that good enough for you, Pat?
No, what I was going to say, it's one thing for the applicant and nothing against Rock, it's one thing for the applicant to say, it meets it. Every applicant will say it meets it.
Right.
But we have that safeguard where we have Wright Pierce double checking. So I'm comfortable if Wright Pierce is saying that it's, meets it, then I'm comfortable with it. It's not just self looking at it and some applicant. It's actually, we got a professional on our side working with a professional on their side to say that it meets. So, yeah.
Then I'm on, done. I'm with.
And I would say that the
Thank
facet from where you're asking that question, Nico, that would fall under one of the parameters that are described in section 4.4.3 of your regs as a criteria for decision. If I can be specific and point out which one that would be, I think that would be, and I quote, supply and protect surface and groundwaters. That's one of 8 items that you can look for under criteria for decision under the facet of concerns for environmental impacts, including the effects on the inland wetlands and watercourses capacity to, and then it goes on a list of items supporting fish and wildlife, preventing flooding, supply and protecting surface and groundwaters, controlling sediment, facilitating drainage, where's that stormwater management system as another component for which the applicant intends that to facilitate, and then controlling pollution, supporting recreational activities and promoting public health and safety. So regardless of what the development is or what its use may be, the root for your decision is what the development does or does not do in relation to any wetlands that are within 100 feet of where activity is taking place. So you should, the commission should be mindful that none of the stormwater management elements are directly discharging into either the on-site or off-site wetlands, save for the existing bioretention basin, and then that element's already in place. So the intermittent water course, the drainage ditch to the northeast, there is no water that's being directly discharged to that. And then the same would go for the ponds, which is the other element, right? And then, of course, all this water ultimately ends up to Devil's Brook, but it's going through a stormwater management system to get there. So that's my comments. I guess I would have for where you guys should be focusing on how to make this decision. Obviously, you guys can craft conditions to of course, obviously within reason, to make sure that those resources are protected and that the applicant adheres to the best management practices and the construction elements that they described. And this is where that discussion would take place. So
I would suggest it sounds like the committee members are looking for a resolution of approval be drafted.
okay,
I know one condition I would like to see again is my orange fence. If it's
Okay.
Anywhere it's within 10 feet of the wetlands, they're working.
another disturbance.
I'm sorry.
Apologies. I thought that was a Met condition. Didn't they agree to that?
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
I'd like to see it in written.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You gotta make sure it's written, otherwise.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
And yeah, anywhere disturbance is within 10 feet of the wetlands.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
And I'm trying to remember if it's on the plans, the garbage enclosure,
Mhm.
make sure that's enclosed. And is there on the plans, planting buffer between the wetlands and that parking lot?
Well, let's take a look at the site plans here. Nico, I'm gonna try to pull those up on my screen. If it doesn't work for some reason, just let me know, okay?
I know there were a bunch of dots.
Where are we? That's gonna be under site plan, isn't it? Yes, it is. And we'll go to the ones that just came in on April 8th. Okay, Nico, you see my screen? Okay, thank you.
Got it.
So there's the existing conditions. That's what the site plan looks like. Oh boy. There it goes. Don't toy with me, Adobe.
Do you have a planting,
Yes, I'm trying to find that sheet for you here. Just bear with me.
see, there's the dots.
That's your sediment and erosion control. Sediment and erosion control. These are details. I do know they have a sheet that specifies landscaping. Of course, it would help if the computer side would work.
I'll just go down. Unless it-
Must be this sheet, of course, the one that's not visible at the moment.
Just so we can make sure there's plantings there.
Yeah.
To act as a buffer,
No, which side are you speaking?
the right hand side. I'm,
Top.
if you're looking at the property on the right,
Got it.
I don't know if that's north
Along
side.
the
yeah,
or
drainage
west.
ditch,
That's north
yes?
side.
I'm sorry?
Along the
north side.
drainage. ditch.
Yeah, yep.
No, that's not the one.
And do we know if they were gonna plant native plants there, or what kind of plants they're planting? We didn't specify.
Invasive Barbary.
Yeah, great. That's what I thought.
Okay, so while I'm looking for these site plan sheets that'll actually work, what is your what would the intent of these plantings be? What function are you looking for them to perform?
To keep things out of the wetland, be it trash and or people.
Okay, so this is litter control and
Traffic control.
okay,
People, traffic. Like low bush, that type of,
Lots of thorns.
yeah. There you go.
I mean, you don't want to leave the
Okay.
orange fence there the whole time?
so here it is.
I would, but hey,
Yeah.
it may not blend in too well.
That would be a nice word.
Native
All right,
rosemary.
Nico.
Or vines.
They're probably gonna want to plant evergreens there.
I agree.
What?
There you
Alright.
go.
There.
Can
Otherwise,
everybody
yeah.
see
Yeah,
what's
there's
going on?
plantings.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, look at
Yeah.
all those.
Oh, they do say.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I knew it was some
So they have a whole plant schedule
beautiful.
that is dedicated to what they will be planting along the edge of this parking lot area here
Perfect.
between the curb and the limits of the intermittent water course there.
Great.
And the only thing I recognize is rhododendron, so.
There's some dogwood trees in there. Hydrangeas, holly, holly.
Perennial
So
shrub.
So if I'm following the nomenclature for this correctly, you would go by the names and the numbers. So for instance, 32 VA would be, if I can find that here.
It's quantities.
Oh, yes, okay. That does make sense. So I was gonna
Your
say,
lens quantity, yeah.
I see a VA, but I didn't see. Okay, so that would be your viburnum dentatum, which is just a viburnum. And then your IW2 would be winterberry and so on and so forth.
Okay, yeah, we don't have to go through each of those.
No, I wouldn't,
That's good.
I wouldn't
No,
suggest.
I wouldn't know what they
doing
are
that.
anyway, so.
That
This is
makes-
great.
But I
Yeah,
understand what
lots
you're
of
trying to
those.
do,
Yeah.
you're trying to
Absolutely.
mitigate.
Most
I
I guess
people-
anything from the,
You know what viburnums are? They're beautiful bushes with white flowers. They look like hydrangeas almost, but they bunch.
We need a landscape in my yard.
This is cool. My only question is like,
Go ahead.
this is really cool. My only question would be like, I'm just curious what percentage of the plantings they have here are considered natives to our region, but I don't know if Rock could come up with that, but
It's not here anymore.
I don't think we could ask
So,
after.
so that was
there's
a
no,
question that you would have had to have asked during the public hearing.
cool. I can calculate it too myself. It's not-
Right, so, that being said,
I
go
don't,
ahead.
It looks like a lot are native. I'm just curious about the percentage.
They usually do mostly, if not all native.
Yeah, it looks like a lot.
We encourage the use of native species for planting plans, Nico.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
guess
it's
that
cool.
Japanese holly might not be native, just going out on a limb there.
Yeah, some are not. Some are not. I'm
Japanese
just-
area, but I don't know them all, but of the ones that I can identify, I don't see anything that I've noted as invasive or problematic. Maybe the catmint,
They
that
wouldn't
kind
plant
of goes
invasive.
nuts, but
Yep.
otherwise, no.
That's a good observation, Danielle. Thank you. You're right.
I'm glad you're here.
All right, that's all the stipulations that I see. I
Okay,
think everything else was well, but I don't know if anyone else has
I'm good.
okay.
stipulations.
And Pat, just as an embellishment for you, you were talking about the dumpster enclosure
Yes.
before. So it does look like that they are proposing plantings in its immediate vicinity if this is in fact. where
Still
the
like to
dumpster
see it
is.
enclosed.
Isn't it enclosed?
Right,
Isn't the
so,
back of it
so,
enclosed?
Just
so
want to
it,
make sure.
so it has, it has 3 permanent
it.
sides.
Yep.
And then it looks
Okay.
like these are meant to be doors that are opened for trash
Yeah,
removal.
they'll break in about a year.
Yep.
You can give them that one.
So,
I mean, obviously you have to have some way for,
no, absolutely.
okay,
No,
okay,
that's perfect.
At least the permanent sides are facing the area that we
Yep.
want protected.
right. And then the same would go for what would appear to be another enclosure
Yep.
where my cursor is down at the bottom of the page, if everybody can see that.
There's actually
Um,
3. There's one all the way to the left as well.
I'm sorry?
There's
To the
one all the
left.
way to the left
in the
as well.
bottom corner.
Oh, yes, over here,
And that's
Okay.
enclosed too.
okay. Any other questions?
Not for me.
Okay,
Nico, any stipulations?
Oh, it's gonna be pretty cool, I think, actually. But I'm looking forward to seeing how it all turns out, I guess.
right, okay.
Okay.
So if I have a consensus from the commission, and I would have you all
I believe you
give
do.
me an affirmative to do that.
Yes.
To craft a draft resolution of approval for the 25th.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
You agree
Nico,
with that?
same goes for you.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Then I will do that.
Okay. Let's move on to Plum Trees Road.
Plum trees.
Now for this one, I believe in me acting on your request from the last meeting, I
Yep.
do have a draft resolution of approval ready to go, and I will distribute that to you guys momentarily if I can. There it is. This one for you, Mary. Stay long, you're welcome. Now, I would say to you guys, even if you had reviewed the materials before tonight's meeting,
Thank you.
it's not customary for me to have draft resolutions of approvals in the drive advance for tonight's meeting. Just allows it to be fresh for you guys tonight. And I just am not wanting to like putting things out in cyberspace that have draft on them. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to ponder these over. There are a couple things that I'll mention, I know for myself, that have to be added. If we'll see if you guys catch
them up.
them, yes, in the process. So I'll give you guys a few minutes and you guys can let me know when you're ready. Nico, I guess,
You can
You're,
just hold it up to your screen.
I was going to say, you want me to hold it up to the camera?
what I will do.
No,
for
Dave's
you,
got it.
Nico, is I will put it on the screen for you. And I will have it slowly scroll so you can read along, okay?
Oh, man, yeah, but you better scroll really slow, dude.
No, don't worry.
Shake it back and forth.
I don't know if you know.
I don't like,
His eyes start to
No,
drop. You're going
That's what I
to-
get. Danielle's gonna read it to me. Fine.
this is.
Do you know what my fee for that is?
You can transcribe it in text.
You'll have to talk to my union.
So what do I want to do here? Oh, shit.
So this is a draft resolution of approval for which project?
This is for the Bergstrom well, this is for the Public Works Department.
Oh, that's much easier to read.
That's nice.
Look at that beautiful contrast.
I'm
Here's-
gonna go zoom in here for you, Nico.
No, I can zoom too.
You are zooming.
I am zooming.
There we go. Now we're talking. How's that?
Perfect. Oh, and you're scrolling. Look at that. All right.
Keep up.
How's that?
That's good. You can slow it down. How do you even do that? Great.
Okay.
Good.
All right, so I'll let that scroll. You guys can read. I'll be back in a minute.
Bringing coffee, Dave?
I don't have a pop brewing. I'm sorry.
You could set that to do that.
He's very fancy.
Yes, it's the Star Wars function.
Is that really-
Yes, it is.
So I was just thinking, man, I could
Because I
do my
would
meetings
love
with my
that.
No,
team,
because
walk
it would
away.
have to
It
be
gets
like-
it gets smaller and smaller.
Get my attention there.
I'll be right back, okay?
Thanks, Dave.
Dun 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 dun. Sorry.
Can you walk me down too?
Click here. Yeah, it's cool viewing tools. And then it's frozen and it's saying, can you get out? You have to call us. You use your computer and just can't get out. Yeah, or it's like exit out. Rather than exit, you click so. So if you task manager force exit. You did a couple years ago. When that was really bad. Yeah, where you just lock your hard drive and. Good.
maybe,
Okay,
but I'm the newbie, so I could be wrong.
Shit.
okay.
I'm the old one, I didn't find anything, so. I thought I would.
Should the turtle person be in here?
Very good.
How many points did I get?
Infinite brownie points.
You know what my prize is? I'm a seated member tonight.
Hey.
You have a low bar.
I do, I do. It's true.
That's a gift.
No. Well, if I have to sit here, at least it's nice to be able to vote.
It went to Wells Fargo, California.
Let's get you our representative.
No big deal.
Process of
Glad I contributed that.
out somewhere else.
I don't really know how important of a thing that
And it
is.
was like, because California is 3 hours behind us, they don't do it. This poor woman would have lost $400,000.
No, I thought I read fast until I.
No, take,
Well, the first 2 pages are boiler, pretty much,
Yeah, you just skim through.
pretty much.
Oh, you got the orange construction. That's it.
Hey, I found that, I'm good.
I saw that, I was like, that's the past clause.
That's the fact clause. Actually, I didn't start that, so the previous member started that.
Yeah,
It is now yours.
that's, I think that's a tribute, as an aside, that's a tribute to our former chair,
Yep.
2 chairs ago, Don Goodrich.
Just know with me, I'd be back when the wetlands sinking and
So can we make it the commemorative Don Goodrich orange fencing?
there you go.
Check to make sure that you got the right number.
Don sat on this for what, 367 years?
Do you have the right number?
Somewhere close to that, yeah. Somewhere in that range. I don't want to short Don of any years.
And he loved it.
Outside the turtles, the fence was there.
Send a fax.
I didn't have anything else.
Just set a patrol fences there. There you go.
Was there,
Was there supposed to be something here about the culvert that runs?
yeah, was there something with the culvert?
Yes, and that would have been the location of Orange construction fencing.
That's- Okay.
So that's another one that I also didn't think of, thank you. Another set of
Like something for
bonus
Easter eggs.
brownie points for you.
I'll take them.
So I'll have to modify that condition to include those sections. Got it.
Nico, you good?
Nico, you good?
Want to read backwards?
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
I can't believe I remembered that, to be completely honest.
Okay, so
All right,
I'll just go over for everybody what you all read on the screen. So as Pat mentioned, the first 2 pages are really boilerplate. They describe what it is that is before you guys, which is the construction of a new 1.152 MGD groundwater treatment plant located at the Berkshire well site and associated tanks. And then they're doing a water main that would connect those to the water main that is on Plum Trees Road, which would be about 1,280 linear feet in length. And then they would be doing work to replace the section of pipe that runs between the 2 wetlands, although technically that is not a wetland itself. It is within the 100-foot upland review area. Then we'll also be doing associated site grading and any other improvements that would otherwise be customary for such work. Then the next page, or the next 2 pages, really go into the documents that we received for you guys to make this review, and the site plan sheets that you guys considered for that. Page 3 is really the meat of where everything is in the form of your conditions. There is one that Kevin just mentioned, which is in the form of the construction fence, number 7. That'll have to get modified to include sections of orange construction fencing in the vicinity of where that culvert replacement would be. So you would have those on the outward side of your erosion control elements. So that way the contractor or whoever's doing the site work knows where the limits of disturbance are and where they can extend to. The next one would be to have something to the effect of addressing what was in the NDDB document you guys just got this evening, which discusses, how the erosion is, how the
Wildlife management.
right, but there was a word that Mary said, the exclusionary controls, there it is. How the exclusionary controls should be installed, so I would say as a coverall, as a catch-all, you would say that you would have a condition that includes conforming to the recommendations listed in a letter from the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, from a Shannon B. Kearney, wildlife biologist dated April 1st, 2022. The other one, other two that I would have you, or other two things I would have you consider, and one of them's not so much a condition as it is just an FYI. Remember, this work is taking place within an aquifer protection area. So you guys are also the body that rules on protecting those areas. So I would add a clause or a section in this resolution of approval that makes sure that addresses that. And I'll formulate that to say something to the effect of this decision was rendered with consideration to whatever I think it was chapter 116 of the Bethel General Code, which is your aquifer protection regulations. I can get into the specific section for that, but you guys get the gist. The last one would be, oh, I'm forgetting it now. Yes, the markers. Now this I do. But I bring this up again because I want to make sure that the installation for them here, in your guys' opinion, is appropriate, and that the interval and how you guys would have them installed is also what you would determine to be appropriate. So if you guys are comfortable with having them placed at 200-foot intervals, where the proposed limit of disturbance is within 100 foot of an open review area, essentially. And then you would have those markers be placed on either a mature vegetation, i.e. a tree, or have them put on a 4x4 inch post at a height of no less than 48 inches, so 4 feet, and no higher than 6 inches, 5 feet, so that anyone at anyone can see those at eye level without having to crane up or crane down to look at those. If you guys think that's appropriate, I'll keep that as written. If you guys want me to fix that, more than happy to, whatever you guys are comfortable
How
with.
far from the wetlands does that have to be?
So I would have get installed along the limit of disturbance. So
I just want to make sure we don't have a 4x4 post in the middle of a parking lot.
no, that would not be my intent. So let me pull up.
Or in the middle of a wetland
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. No,
No,
that's fine.
no,
of
No.
pressure treated.
Right on the outside wetland, we're good.
That would not be
Okay.
my intent.
That's fine.
Well, let me give you an example here real quick. I don't want to try to draw this out, but just so you guys understand what I would intend the thought process for you guys to be here. Where
For my
is-
money, I'd rather that they were installed on existing
Trees.
mature trees rather
Okay.
than installing posts, because that feels more disruptive to the environment than is necessary.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't have to be every, if you have a tree at 150 feet, that's fine, or 210, that's fine.
Well, you could make it a range then, you could say 150 to 200 feet
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
as
As
possible,
nature provides,
yes,
There it goes.
at natural intervals.
there you go.
Yeah. If possible, I'd say like depending on what the site kind of asks for, if that makes sense. Like,
There you
Okay.
I guess a tree.
I like it. Can we get some
Get me a
tinsel?
choo, choo,
Some tinsel? I like tinsel.
So let's work this from the entrance off of Plum Trees Road to ultimately where the Bergstrom well pump station would be. So this is your so this is your existing
Right,
driveway entrance here, right? You would have them installed to the effect of, because they're going to be putting the water main in to get to Plum Trees Road, right? So I would have my thought process would be you would have them installed along the edge of where that cleared area is.
right, as long as it's not in the middle of the.
No,
As long as
yeah.
it's right on the edge. we're
Right.
good.
That would be the thought process, and then you would have that extend all the way down to the back of the pump house here. I mean, this is from what you guys had seen,
Mhm.
this is where people are gonna be spending an extended period of time, either getting ready for games or socializing before and after,
Moving
so.
Most of the hanging out
strollers
occurs
Right.
in front of the pump
Nip
station.
bottles. and-
Right.
Okay.
So this would be where it would be most important to have a visual indicator for people, I would say.
Yep.
So if you're comfortable with that interval and you think it serves its purpose,
Yep.
that's what my intent had been with crafting it that way.
That's fine.
And if for some reason the contractor, when they look at this resolution of approval, if they don't get it, I'd be like, okay, here, I'll reach out there and I'll show you what I need.
That's fine.
Yeah, and I'll show you guys what your intent is, so.
Is there existing mature vegetation along the driveway on that side? I don't
Not
remember it that
really,
well.
it's mainly just reeds.
Right, so that's,
So
So
then
that's
you may
the
have to
thing.
meet your 4x4.
right, so if you don't have, if you have phragmites there, obviously that wouldn't work. So that's where having the posts would make sense, and I would not have those used first, I would only have those used if
As a
all
backup.
of the, right, exactly.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
Yep,
It does.
Okay,
One other thing too, I just noticed from the recommendation sheet,
yeah,
there's no indication as to depth below ground level for the fencing, it just says to ground level, 20 inches high to ground level.
okay,
That was my concern, was digging, turtles dig
right,
under, so it'd be very easy to get them in. I don't know if we are able to make it a stipulation that they go at least below ground by a certain,
adequate
but
depth below ground.
see, I would like to say adequate, I don't know what adequate is,
No,
but
I-
definitely needs to just be.
well, did the
Right.
DEP report not,
I don't know how far turtles.
It doesn't,
dig, but 20 inches.
No.
It states to ground level. That may let animal pass through, but
at
they,
least go 20 to 12?
yeah. So I would like to say something like an adequate depth, I just don't know what adequate depth
But
is or
adequate,
means,
yeah, adequate
you know?
covered, that they would have to look up how far a turtle digs down. I
Right.
can't
Yeah,
picture a turtle.
yeah, exactly.
Well, there's a biologist
Right.
that.
so this is where you would go back to that exclusionary fence condition, right? You could add on to that and say, such fence shall be installed to specifications for exclusionary protection as deemed appropriate by X. So you don't have to put yourself in the driver's seat for coming up with what that number
Right.
is.
Yeah,
You can have them refer to biologists at Deep to give them that number. I mean, for what it sounded, Marius already has an idea for how deep that fence should go, and I would assume he's not gonna try to sell us short
I
on.
don't think they want to be moving turtles.
Right, no, they don't, and this is a town project, as has been mentioned, so they're gonna wanna make sure they do this right.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have someone out there inspecting this to make sure that everything's working as it should, so if they find, when they tug on the fence, that it's just coming out of the ground, because it's not as deep as it should be, they'll be like, hey, you need to fix that, make sure it functions also as the exclusionary fence, as described in what you guys craft. That makes sense?
Yep.
absolutely, if you don't mind just adding it as that verbiage, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah.
That'd be, I would appreciate that.
Can you get some shields put on the fence with like a turtle and like a line and just so the turtles know.
There's some Ninja Turtles, just don't put feet on.
Well, we've spent a long time figuring out how high turtles can jump. I don't know how far turtles can read.
Well, that's why you're using symbol because that's kind of universal, right? I wouldn't put it in.
Gotcha.
All right, so we're good with that
Yeah, so let me just
stipulations.
get that down here. I'm sure the
I'll be right.
recording will catch all this.
I'll be
but-
right.
I'm getting old.
Me too.
Exclusion,
And as my mom says, it beats the alternative.
Yeah, exactly.
section of fence.
Good for the whole team once in a while.
Still alive.
To deep. Amend construction fence. Orange to include culverts. And then I have to add in the APA regulations section. Okay, and then anything else I missed, guys?
Nope.
Not for me.
Okay.
Nico, you good?
I should have been writing while I was.
Yep.
I can't multitask that well. So I would say you have. Oh, yeah. You know what? Let's just put that as a second one.
So you'll have that ready for the next meeting?
No, I'm gonna have you guys vote on this tonight, because all I have to do is add those conditions.
Okay.
Per your guys' verbiage, so that would be 9, 10, that would be 11 conditions that you would have. Nine of them are written already, and then the other 2 I would add based on your verbal comment, and then the basis for your guys' decision would be what's on the 4th page, which are items 1 through 3.
Yep.
You guys find.
So you need a motion?
Yes, I need a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the permit for Plumtree Road number 49 with the 11 stipulations as outlined in the draft resolution and based on the based on the findings as stated in 1 through 3 on page 4 of the draft resolution.
Very
Can we
good.
get away with that?
Yes, you got it.
Nicely done, Pat.
I second that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against?
Aye.
Against? I'm confused. Was that against or for? Nico?
For me, I said aye.
Okay, sorry. Against and abstain. Great, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's 1 down, 2 to go.
Walnut Hill Road number 115. I thought this one was pretty straightforward, except for the discussion we had on the placards.
Yes, which is another thing I have to fix in this, which I'll be happy to get to. Nico, you want me to do the slow scroll again?
Go for it. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Are you gonna sing again?
Dun, 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 dun. Only if you guys sing along.
Should have said it was something harder to sing. So you have a draft resolution for this?
Yes, I
We
do.
haven't
and I'm
had
gonna
enough
put that
beers
up
for
on the
karaoke night.
screen.
Fly to the
Never had enough
bumblebee
beers
this
to
time.
hear me sing.
My voice is like a mix between Fergie and Jesus.
I sing in church and people look at me and go, don't do that.
When I think people have to go to church.
That's good.
Okay, Nico, let me know if you can see what's on the screen. I'm gonna give you a head start.
Cheater.
You can read the screen. Look at that.
It's like suspense.
Okay, well, that's going. Yeah.
Pretty fast, Nico. You can do that, huh?
Let's go with it, Nico.
Thank you.
Would you guys like a cup?
I appreciate it.
Very well. All right, Roy. Good. Ah, thanks.
Forgot about that. That's a good
I'll
notice.
explain that after the meeting.
Relation of mechanical equipment, it's like. Be on everything we do.
Usually is.
It is, it was on the last
Part
one
of
as
the
well.
first
Yeah.
boilerplate. That's why I always go to the last page and then. Good, Nico?
Okay, so if you guys haven't already surmised, a lot of what was written in approval, in the approval that you just saw and approvals that you previously seen are here again. Of course, there are tweaks that I need to make, the obvious ones being adding a blurb about the aquifer protection regulations. You guys are rendering a decision in consideration to those, because this also falls in an aquifer protection area. And then the other item being the markers again. So obviously, we would not have. Okay, so I did read it the same way. So if you guys are comfortable with having just one, or if you guys feel that it's not appropriate to have any, I leave the decision to you. We can strike that.
I think one is fine. You're not telling where to put it. They could put it on the side, they could put it in the middle. It's within 20 feet of the regulated wetlands.
Okay,
So you're not telling them, put it in your view. I mean, they literally can have it to the side.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
It
Okay.
says place on a it says place on a posting. I don't. see
if you want to be on or mature
Or
vegetation.
mature vegetation,
Okay,
is that
you can-
okay?
that's not a, that's.
If there's a very good freestanding tree right where they can plug it,
If you guys feel that's appropriate, we can certainly modify that condition for that.
I mean, I would like to add that, would you guys
Yeah,
care?
no, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
No, I think that's fine.
So let me.
And you can change it to a minimum of one. Because if they want to put more than one, that's fine.
Yeah, that's true. If they wanna put more than one, we shouldn't tell them not to.
No, I'm not, no, you guys shouldn't discourage them. I would add that there is no cost for these markers
That's what I
either.
mean. Because they may go on the other side and put some, their woods there, so.
Okay, a minimum of one, that works.
So let me add for number 8.
Good call.
For
I'll be paying you the no bucks.
I do think it's unfair that you get 3 times
Okay.
as much money as I do for sitting here.
there is one
Is it 10?
condition,
Is it 10? 10 max?
there is
Zero,
one,
zero, zero.
there is one condition, I'm sorry, that I think is worth of note for this application. Just me explaining, and that would be number 9. Just as an FYI for you guys, when the applicant advises us that all the work associated with construction is done, and they're looking for what's called their zoning compliance certificate. It's probably getting their CO. We make them submit to us what's called a letter of substantial completion. And I specified, or I thought it would be good for you guys to have a condition that includes having that letter address the stormwater management system components, even though the lion's share of them are outside of the 100-foot upland review area.
Okay.
There is still the rip-rap splash pad whose discharge is just outside of that. So that's something for you guys to consider. It always makes sense to have something in writing, especially if you're working on a property where upland review area exists that verifies that everything from a stormwater management perspective is working as the engineer designed it on paper. So you guys may see that in some shape and form on approvals like this. I just wanted to point that out. Foreshadowing, you guys will see that again for 6 Pond View, but let's just get to the discussion for 115 Walnut. Anything that I missed that you guys want me to add?
I think, I'm not saying anything.
Nope, nothing else. Do we have anybody go out after the fact to validate after completion? Like, I know that they have to give us a letter of substantial completion, but do we have any kind of an inspect post? Yeah, like in writing.
So do you inspect it when they're all done?
Yeah.
Right, so that's part of what this letter entails. The engineer has to go out and inspect all the elements to make sure that they're working. And then I would do the same.
Okay, and then you do the same.
Right.
That's what I was.
I mean, I'm not doing it from an engineer's perspective. I'm doing it from okay, this is that component, yes. Is it where they said it was going to be? Approximately, yes. Is it doing what they said it would do? Yes. And if there are any obvious issues, I would obviously report those and have those get fixed before a zoning compliance certificate is signed for.
Perfect. As I thought, just wanted to make sure.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, and reasons for decision are pretty straightforward as well. They are the same ones that you guys used for the previous application. I can modify these as you would see fit as well, unless you don't think any modifications are needed.
I don't see.
Okay, cool.
So we just need a motion?
Yes,
Would you like to do the honors,
No, you
sir?
go right ahead. I'd rather
Uh,
have someone else do the motions.
Are you out? He's out of emotions and motions.
That's it.
I make a motion to approve the draft resolution of approval for 115 Walnut Hill Road with the 9 stipulations as mentioned with the
amendment
Amendments.
to number 8.
to number 8 as discussed this evening. Alongside the 3. What's the verb?
Well, you're and these conditions of approval are based on the findings as listed 1 through 3 on page 404.
As the findings listed on 1 through 3 of page 4 on the draft approval.
Yes. And we have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Against?
Nico, we need an eye from you too.
He's got thumbs up.
Oh, okay, but, okay,
Aye.
thank you.
Abstaining? Motion carries.
Okay,
Okay,
very good. And we're on to the next one.
Pond View Drive number 6. Do you have a draft one for that as
Yes,
well?
I do. Let me get that up
You're
on
on
the
a roll,
screen.
Dave.
I mean, I have no reason not to approve this one, but I see this property so much, it's just in. I'm very curious to see what this is gonna look like when it's done. That's all, like, everything on site plan all works out. I see it
I
just.
think it's because you're thinking they're gonna have a backyard, but I think they mentioned they're really not gonna have a
They're gonna have
backyard.
to
They're
have
gonna
like
leave it all
The
natural.
house is gonna have to get, where you staying to like this little space?
They're probably getting to the point where they don't wanna take care of a yard anymore.
I don't
can
have a
understand
backyard.
that.
No, I don't. Which is fine, it's just fine. Cause I just see it all the time. 'Cause there's that little pond back there. My aunt lives across the street from it. They know the neighbors. There's a little fishing pond in the backyard. I'm like, I don't know how they're gonna actually fit that house on that plan right there. But okay.
That's why they got the engineer.
That's
You'd be
okay.
amazed.
That's on the.
Yep.
That's everything's, they checked all their boxes.
Yep.
It's gonna be right on top of the wetland, it seems like.
You're gonna have the mosquito problems. that I have.
Okay,
Hopefully they have a screened in porch.
No mowing.
okay.
Mosquitoes don't bother me either. I don't get bit by them. Don't want to die.
All right, Nico, are you seeing
Smart.
that on the screen?
Yes,
I got the
Get rid of the
COVID
front yard
dog.
too, I'd be happy.
Okay.
Daughter convinced me.
So while you got, while that scrolls,
If we're walking to Huntington State Park, anywhere between April and June. You could survive those mosquitoes.
I don't get that. Mosquitoes
Oh.
don't bother me.
They bounce off the screens trying to get to me.
Really?
There can be
My
people
daughter gets welts,
outside
so I
and they will
know.
bypass them and try to come inside to get me.
We'll sit outside. I don't get bit. My daughter gets welts.
Me too. I guess I'm just
Thank you.
tastier.
That must be it.
God, 100%.
I get too much fat. I can't get through.
copies for you guys.
Thank you.
Pass them out amongst yourselves. You're welcome.
Where are you here?
Organize myself.
Just change the letterhead on this one, Dave?
Some of the nitty gritty, it takes,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like it's obvious, but there's a lot more that gets changed than meets the
Oh,
eye.
I'm sure. The whole first couple of pages, I don't know how you track it all.
We're done here. Let me tell you a funny story about not editing documents like that.
If they could put this on a Bethel marker on their front door. They're fishing that pond and they catch something, I'm gonna be really upset, so I wasn't gonna fish in that for 2 years,
No bites?
nothing really.
My
No,
brother,
we've seen them though, we've seen them in there.
my brother has a homemade pond. I mean, it's good. You can do a canoe on it. It's huge. And people come fishing all the time, only catch and release. Unless it's some type of fish that's like this big, that's not.
Crappie. usually.
Yeah, but they can get rid of, they can take those, all the rest, they just got some big fish. in
Well, you
there.
don't wanna eat largemouth anyways,
Oh, I don't
they're,
know.
well, I mean, you can, but they taste like garbage fish. Largemouth and smallmouth, they just have a weird taste to them, because their diet is so wide, you know, it's like
Yeah.
a wide array of food they eat.
Really fish, I think deep sea fishing, that's it.
So I swear to you, there are no fish in the Huntington ponds. I watch them stock it, I've seen people pull 1 or 2 fish out of there, seen one swim by, but out there 50 times, not for a damn thing.
I was out there this weekend and saw somebody walking out with a haul. Maybe it's you.
or did they stock it again? Did they stock it, you think?
The
I don't know.
The
I don't
people show
fish.
up the day after they stock it, pull all the fish out, take them home, cook them, and leave nothing for us.
Yeah,
Here Carluzzi's has some you can pick up.
That's what I had to do. It's just-
I caught a big bass once, Kevin, in the Huntington Pond, the smaller of the 2 ponds.
Are you serious? Wait,
Like
the
a
one at the
big
bottom of the hill, or the one right when you walk down the first, like that?
The larger of the ponds on the north, like to the north of the bridge,
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
like the smaller of the 2 ponds.
Yeah.
I was gonna
so.
say, it sounds like we were done before we even began.
Yeah,
I got it.
well, it's pretty much the exact same.
I
So,
say, I
pretty much
swear
it
it's like fishing for unicorn when I go there.
I think we have to change number 8 because we gotta update that again.
Yes,
Yep. To do the same. Thank you for the orange construction.
Madam Goodrich. Come on, Mother.
And by changing a minimum of 1 or.
Yes.
Or on existing.
Exactly, just like the other one, so.
Outside of that, I didn't find anything. Everything else is really answered. I asked a million questions. I think
Can we, should we put a stipulation? I'm trying to picture how close that house was to the wetlands.
It's on the wetlands.
It's close. Can we put a stipulation on there, no clearing in the wetlands, or is that just covered by the town?
well, that's a regulated activity, that would be something that would require, I'm not sure.
That would be
Let's
I'm
try
just
to,
picturing 10 years down the road, gentleman sells the house, someone wants a backyard, goes in there, there's no orange fence with bulldozer and.
No,
gets
but
a
you got your
backyard.
little shields.
There you go.
You know, you can't, I don't know the property well enough, but if it's similar to mine, you can't clear down there because I have waterfront property or I have mudfront property or I have waterfront property.
It's basically covered by town regs anyway, right?
right,
Yeah.
so
Right, that's
if
fine.
someone were to try to conduct an activity out there without it being directly associated with this decision that you
Right.
guys make, there'd be an enforcement letter and
Okay.
me coming up to say what's going on.
Okay.
And either they try to get a permit for it, or they fix the conditions to remove whatever they've done.
All right.
And have it be returned back to its natural state, or the state following the completion of construction, whatever that may be. Obviously, there's a limit of disturbance
Right,
associated with this that the applicant does not intend to pass.
right.
And furthermore,
Right.
I think this have been discussed, even though it may not be explicitly called out on the site plan. It's the applicant's intent to have the backyard, or what one would consider to be the backyard, be a no mow mix. So you're having someone go back there with a mower
Right,
at most 2, maybe 3 times a year. So you're not really gonna be seeing a lot of activity back there.
Yep.
And you know, that should warrant enough for anyone that were to purchase that property, that area should be left alone. Obviously, if you guys wanted to have the placement of that marker changed to have perhaps better reflect that area should be left alone, if you guys think that's appropriate.
I think the way it's worded right now is fine.
Okay,
Fine,
Yeah,
it is,
yes.
it is.
okay,
And this one in particular, it's very obvious. It's very obvious wetland.
yes,
Like it's not like, sometimes it's like questionable, is it, you know, what you're looking at, when you're looking at that, it's very obvious wetland. As well.
okay,
I don't think anybody can mow back there.
So do you
okay.
need a motion?
Well, any other questions? Nico? Any questions?
Can't hear you.
Okay, I saw, no, I'm good, but you are still muted, so,
All good. I think we covered.
oh, there you go. Okay,
Oh, question, it's not to do with the approval of this, but they're putting in one of those drainage systems that I've actually never seen before. Can we request to check it out when it's done, just so I can see what it is and how it operates?
Yeah,
Do you
we'd
love
love to.
Show you
We
both.
wanna make this a showcase, so I would love to invite you out during construction, completion of construction.
so,
That'd be cool. I'd just like to see it.
No, I really, we're excited about doing this, you know, it's kind of a new look at how
so,
we do some of these projects.
Yeah,
So-
so I'd appreciate that.
so I would say you can't have that be a condition of
No,
approval.
not a
Okay.
condition. No, not a
Right,
condition.
so-
I was asking.
We'll
for
let
this.
you know, we-
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with the document itself.
So if there's a time that would be amenable for you guys after construction's done, that you guys will want to take a look at this. Obviously, I'm not sure what the construction schedule for them would be if they have this.
We'll fill Dave in as we build it, and
Right.
we'll pick a couple times.
Perfect.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. I'd like to see what, so I'm sure that we're gonna see something like this again, now that it's,
Yes.
yeah, at some point at least.
Right,
The technology seems
Yeah,
new and
new.
it seems like it might be popular, it seems like a good option.
right. I mean, every site is unique in their own way.
They have one completed, if you want to see it being completed, that's good, they have one completed over on,
Copper Square.
thank you.
Right, so you guys.
Because we went out there when that was being, there was a whole discussion on this.
Right, and that's why I had noted that during the site plan
Right.
review. So what is out there is essentially a larger commercial scale version.
Right.
Of what this would be. So it'll function the same way, it has all the same components, the same design, thought process, it's just small.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just saying it'd be good if you see a while.
That's what I was kind of looking for. I was kind of like, how is it pieced together? Like, what does it look like?
Appreciate that.
Because when it's done, you should really not see much, to be honest.
You don't see what's below.
any other discussion? Because otherwise I would have one of you entertain making a motion.
You're good at it, go for it, go.
I make a motion to approve the draft resolution of approval for 6 Pine View Drive pending the 8 or 10
10.
stipulations as discussed with an amendment to stipulation 8 for the verbiage as discussed during the meeting tonight.
Yeah, let me make sure that's comment 8 for myself here.
8 is the, yes,
Yes, it is,
It is 8.
and there's only, oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at the wrong
there's
one.
10. Huh.
Well, let's go into these. Yes, okay. Yep, and that's for number 8. Good, you got it.
Yep.
Sorry.
And how exactly for the last, this is my second time doing it.
Based on the findings, numbers 1 through 3
Based on the
as
findings.
listed on page 3
Yep.
of the draft resolution.
Two.
And based on the findings in numbers 1 through 3 on page 3 on the draft resolution of approval. It's not the findings, that's where I did it. Hang on 1 second.
I did.
Oh, sorry. I'm
Oh,
wrong.
no, that's it.
All those in
That's
favor?
Only here, 8 just saying.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You
Thank
go, are
you.
you for or against? Oh, for.
4.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
Go to the DEP website, they give you the stocking locations where they, and when they last did it. They got hunted.
No, I know. Oh, trust me.
Yeah, they got the locations
See,
too.
the
It's
thing
pretty
is, I
good.
don't wanna catch stockies though, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
I wanna
It's
get
good
my
with the
hands on
kids.
some
I
decent
don't catch
rainbows.
anything, so.
Bring them there with the kids and they got them like right there when they
Yeah,
last did.
like
It's
they-
fun.
Which is great. It's great for the, like, when I took my friend's daughter out and she wants to catch fish, but I'm trying to catch like, you know, an 8-pound brown or an 8-pound rainbow to put on the grill, you know? They don't exist. Even Saugatuck isn't doing that great anymore.
Is that a top?
What was that?
They had a top year too.
Yeah, I mean, and Saugatuck River is still all right. So,
Thank you guys.
you got it.
Bye.
Have a nice
Take
day.
care,
Thank
gentlemen.
you. All right, we have no old, or we did old business. Dave, you got any comments?
the only comment I would say, and it's more of a procedural thing, a site plan review for 17 Whitney Road. Barring any advisement that's otherwise unforeseen from the applicant, is scheduled to continue at our next regular meeting on the 25th, in 2 weeks. We'll discuss other business items like our meeting minutes, invoices, also at that time. I
Okay,
figure I try to keep the agenda a
That's
little
standard
short.
course of business stuff.
That's correct.
I do like being here till 10:30 at night.
Otherwise, I don't have anything else to do for you.
beautiful. Public comments, there are no, anyone on Zoom, public? Nope.
There's a public human there.
Is there anyone?
Yeah, it's 203, I think I may know who this is, 203-482-6410. If I had to venture a guess, that may be Pat Sell. But I'm gonna try to figure that out for myself here.
Can't sneak in on these meetings, huh?
No. it is
I did see
not.
someone hiding under a chair in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Uh, 482.
All right, no other comments. I make a, entertain a motion to close.
So move.
Oh, that's Laura Ferguson is who that is.
Hi, Laura.
Waiting.
Okay.
Excuse me. All right, seconded, motion to close.
I second. Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. He seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
I
Against? Abstain.
think Nico's
Carry.
against.
Okay,